everybody, this is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay, creator of the Mighty Mascots, and promoter for the Plastic City Comic Con. And I'm here with a top 5 list, top 5 free comic book day indie titles from 2024. Before I get into that, just want to remind everybody that Plastic City Comic Con is happening July 20th. Take a look here. We got a ton of guests coming. As you can see from this page is stacked with guests. We have a ton of artists, writers, crafters, comic retailers, Funko, you name it, it's going to be at the show for $10. We have over 150 tables, a bunch of different rooms with creators and vendors everywhere. So it's going to be awesome. It's a new location, Doubletree Hotel in Leominster. And we're actually back in the Plastic City, which is huge. Also, a reminder to check out my website, heroenvy.com or recklesssidekick.com. Both go to the same place. You can pick up all my comics there, either digitally or physically. There's a store section. And also, if you want to hire me on as a letterer, just check out the comic lettering services tab on the website and check out some samples of my work. I'd love to letter your book. So, all right. So I've been trying to come up with new ideas for videos here and there. And I thought what happened recently? Oh, the free comic book day. So I should have done this sooner, probably last week, but I had the indie recommendation video ready to go. And I usually like to do that at the beginning of the month, so people have time to find the video. Also, have time to look through the previous catalog, things like that. But Free Comic Book Day happened on May 4th. And, me and Amy were set up, and I was able to snag most of the books I wanted to read. I'd say about 95% of them are indie books, which is great. Marvel, DC, they had one or two titles, and then they had some YA stuff, and that was about it. But a lot of the other smaller companies had books out, which was great. And actually, I gotta say, this year was better than most. Like, sometimes the free comic book days they range from either just junk. I hate to say it, but some of them are just junk, or some of them are like 5-page previews for some event that's coming out. That's usually from the big two. And then there's that rare occasion where the free comic book day is actually a brand new story, a full issue instead of like a tiny issue. And it's actually worthwhile. And this year had a lot of good stuff, I gotta admit. And you'll probably notice a theme as I go through my countdown here of books that interest me. And you probably can kind of guess what the number one is if you watch some of my past stuff. But this year, and then sometimes they just do a reprint of something old, which sometimes is good if you haven't read that issue and it's a good reprint. So so let's get started. So I'm gonna pop on over here. This is Diamond's website. So I'm gonna start with this first one, number 5. This is Conan, and I'm gonna count from number 1 favorite, 5 down to number 1. So this one was a surprise. This is a free comic book day version of Conan the Barbarian and the Battle of the Black Stone. This was put out by Titan Comics, I believe, who has the current license for Conan. Now, I was always kind of a casual Conan fan. I liked some of the old Marvel stuff, like the Conan title that Roy Thomas used to do, but also the big magazine, which I think Roy also did, was the Savage Sword of Conan. That stuff was great. I always enjoyed that. And, when Marvel had the license last, wasn't anything. I mean, he was in Savage Avengers, which was okay. That title seemed to be started off good, but it kind of just went nowhere. So, and then I can imagine that's why the license reverted to someone else. Now, I haven't read much of the Titan Comics version of Conan. Like I said, I've been a casual fan and I didn't pick it up. But this Free Comic Book Day was written by Jim Zub, who I've read some of his stuff. He's pretty good. But it also, the thing that really made it kind of neat was that they're hinting at doing like a a universe with all of, is it Robert Lee Howard, who's the creator of Conan? I forget. But like all his creations, like Solomon Kane, and there's all the, like, there's a Western character I've never heard of. If you read the book, it's kind of like a prequel to something. And it's kind of, the art's good, everything's great about it. But at the end, they talk about all his creations that have never met. So they're kind of setting up something where they can kind of exist all in one universe. So that might be fun. I don't know. I may check it out. A lot of it seems very pulp like characters, so if they do that as a separate mini series, which I think is what the plan is, I'll probably end up picking that up because I actually really like Solomon Kane too. Whenever he shows up in something, he's kind of a cool character. But yeah, so this one was good. So number 5, Conan, Battle of the Blackstone. All right, so number 4, this is Flash Gordon, and this was put out by Mad Cave Studios. The writer on it was Jeremy Adams. The cover artist was Dan Panosian. And same thing with Flash Gordon as with Conan. I'm just sort of a casual fan of Flash Gordon. Remember the 80s movie was fun, and I remember reading there was a DC put out like a Flash Gordon miniseries back in the 80s that was pretty cool if I remember right. And then, I just kind of, and there was a cartoon, the Flash Gordon cartoon, and Defenders of the Earth, and this was actually really good. The art was really good. Everything about it was great adventure. I really like this Free Comic Book Day, and also another full issue with just a story and everything. And so keeping up with this theme of a larger universe, so it looks like Mad Cave, is gonna be doing a Defenders of the Earth series at some point, which is all the, I believe Flash Gordon's part of the, it was a King Syndicate, with all the other characters like the Phantom, and was it Lothar and Mandrake the magician. So I guess Mad Cave is gonna team them up and bring back Defenders of the Earth, which was a very underrated cartoon if you never seen that back in the 80s. So this has me excited. I don't know if I'll collect a Flash Gordon mini, but Defenders of the Earth, when they're all together, I think I might do that. So especially if it's sort of in the vein of the cartoon, I think I could really get behind that. So a lot of retro stuff, and you'll see as I keep going, there's more retro stuff coming. But hey, man, it all hits right here. I love it. So they're speaking to me with these comics, So, and I'm sure some of you guys out there are the same way as me. So, all right. So number 4 was Flash Gordon. Moving on to number 3. This is Gacha Man. This was also by Mad Cave, which is crazy. They put out a couple books this year, and this it was a 0 issue because there is a Gacha Man series coming out. I covered this in one of the indie recommendation videos. Either it probably wasn't this month, it was last month, I believe. But yeah, this 0 issue was fun. It was 3 separate stories, and they're all setting up, the Gacha Man universe, which is, so it feels like the Battle of the Planets cartoon, but also like a little bit of the G-Force and Gacha Man Japanese side mixed in. Like I noticed there was no 7 Zark 7, and the professor seems to be the guy leading them. And yeah, it was good though. I liked it, and I'm glad these characters are back. I love seeing these characters. Love the animes, and I love the original show. So one of the epic intros of all time. But yeah, so Gacha Man. So this is leading into a bunch of stuff. Like the cool thing about these Free Comic Book Days, in the back, they talk about what they're trying to do. And with the 2 Mad Cave ones, Flash Gordon and this one specifically, they have a schedule of what they're planning on releasing. Like there's going to be a Galactor one shot. There's going to be a one shot, I think, with the Mark and the other guy that's the main characters in Gacha Man. And then I think they're going to do like a mini series, and then there's a regular monthly. So yeah, they're real going all in on the Gacha Man stuff. So And this was the ground floor, 0 issue. So check that out. So moving on to number 2. Now this one almost made number 1, but I had to give number 1 to something else. So this is the John Universe Special 2024 special. Now, I guess they released this also as you could buy it, but they also added extra pages, different covers, things like that. But the free comic book day version, there's 3 stories with so far in the John universe. There's the Void Rivals monthly, there's the Transformers monthly, and then there's just been GI Joe minis building up the main storyline. But the great thing about this, the 3 stories in this, they did a Transformers story, they did Void Rivals, and then they did a general GI Joe one. Each story has a major moment from the John universe. So if you're following all these books, this is a crucial one to get because there is a lot of stuff happening here. And a lot of it's kind of cool, you know. And I totally recommend this. This would have been my, like I said, my number 1. And the reason I love this as a free comic book day, because it's such a pivotal issue that it's almost like you have to get this one, you know, to continue with their universe building that they're doing. And I love that they made this such an important issue, because like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, most of the free comic book day stuff is usually throwaway or preview stuff, and this was great. 3 short stories, and I loved it. So check it out. Lots of great creators on it: Robert Kirkman, Daniel Warren Johnson, Joshua Williamson, and artists were off the chain. So number 2, John Universe Special. And my number 1, I had to give it to Johnny Quest. This is free comic book day, Johnny Quest series coming from Dynamite Entertainment. Plus there was a Space Ghost little mini story in there, and a couple, I think a little bit of Thundercats as well, maybe a couple pages there. But I am so pumped for a Johnny Quest comic. You can't even imagine. It's written by Joe Casey, which I love his writing. He was also part of the Mana Action Studios that brought like Ben 10 and what was that show? Generator Rex to TV. Remember those? The Secret Saturday, all those, like in the early or the late 2010 era there. But yeah, Joe Casey is great. I love this property. This cartoon still holds up like a mofo. It's awesome. I you can watch I think Johnny Quest is still free on Tubi. You can watch all 26. So it's such a brilliant, great cartoon. People died in it. You know, it was crazy, like when it was made in like I think in the 60s or something like that. And yeah, it's got beautiful artwork, beautiful tones, everything. So I am absolutely pumped, and the story was good. I can't wait to see where Johnny Quest is going. So I can't wait for I think it's coming out sometime in the late summer or, you know, fall sometime. But yeah, I'll be there getting the number 1, and yeah, I can't wait. So also I wanted to do an honorable mention to there was a kind of a fun Popeye book from, I think, Massive Press. It was sort of like Popeye done in like a manga style. And, you know, it was kind of really, the art was really fun. The only biggest complaint I had was the lettering was way too small on it. Like I had to bust out the magnifying glass. It was that small. It must have literally been like 3 or 4 point, you know, points size on it. I was like, oh my God, it's so bad. I mean, I don't know how that gets out to people nowadays, like, you know. But anyways, that one was fun. If you can find all these books, some of the stores still have them. Like I know our stores have a couple copies left of the John one, and I don't know if they have any of the Johnny Quest left, but they have some of them, you know, the Marvel offerings and things like that. But you can check your store. Some stores still have these books, and you might still be able to get them. But yeah, these were my favorite from Free Comic Book Day. So, but all right, everybody, thank you so much. Let me know if you like these top 5 kind of listicle shows, you know. Trying to do something, you know, a little different here and there besides the reviews and, you know, commentaries on the Mighty Mascots and things. I'm just trying to do an overall, indie comic selection kind of thing, So, but yeah, join us next week. We're live again on Monday, and then we're off the following week for Memorial Day. Our live streams have been going nuts. They've been going great. We've had a ton of people watching us, commenting, and the greatest thing, our channel has hit 1,000 subscribers. So I'm really happy about that. So, but thank you guys for getting us there. All right, well, have a great week. We'll talk to you later, and most importantly, read some comics. All right, everybody. Good night. Bye.